Well, guys, you will simply not be able to deny this amazing proof of evidence. This is about the giants, and this is a document which was published in 1896. That's right. And why is this so important? Let's just read the evidence and the information here because it's just crazy. So the title says the following: Is this the ancestor of the American race? The discovery of an ancient giant's footprint in the British Columbia raises an interesting question. Heights of all of the giants to whom we know of. And here we have the giants, guys, and this is just crazy. So all along there was plenty of evidence during archaeology in the 19th century of footprints. We have Goliath, right, in Palestine, 11 feet, Galbara, Rome, 10 feet, Funam, Scotland, 11.5, huge, gigantic. De Valemont, 17 feet, absolutely crazily high. Count Bouchard, right? 22.6 feet. That is a monster, right? And of course, we also have the kind of like the period in which this was discovered effectively and proven. Now we have the Teud Bochus, which is a king, right? It was a king of the Teutones. So we have on the 16th century discovered in the land of giants in the South France in Dauphine. We have 25.5 feet. And this article, guys, is really important. This information was available in the 19th century. The bones were available. The bones were actually for this particular giant. If you go to Wikipedia, they were actually in an exposition. They were actually shown to people, and everyone could just see it. But then after that, they tried to deny it, and they said some anatomists or people who were hired by the elites to effectively say that, oh no, this is not the bones of a human, these are the bones of an elephant. And come on, that is just a bunch of gibberish. We have the article about this king. Theodbotrus was a legendary giant and king of the Teutons. Large bones discovered in 1613 were claimed to be of his skeleton. And here's the most important thing. The thing was actually discovered in 1613. Some masons digging near the ruins of a castle in Dauphine, in a field, this is actually here, in which by tradition had long been called the Giant's Field. Obviously it's not a coincidence there. At a depth of 18 feet discovered a brick tomb of 30 feet long, right? 30 feet long, that's crazy. 12 feet wide and 8 feet high, of which was a grey stone with the words Theotokos Rex cut thereon. When the tomb was opened, they found a human skeleton, an entire 25.5 feet long, 10 feet wide across the shoulders, and 5 feet deep from the breast to the back. Let me just repeat that, right? 5 feet deep from the breast to the back. There are people who are not as high as this, as the depth, right? His teeth were about the size of an ox foot, which is crazy, and his shin bone measured 4 feet in length. The bones were displayed in Paris by Pierre Mauzière, a surgeon who claimed to be one of the finders, but of course they couldn't leave it like that, they had to create a lie, so this is exactly what I did. So then the anatomist Jean Roland de Junger, which is this guy here, alright, well, guess what he said? He said that the bones were of an elephant. That's right, Hannibal's elephants. The French scholar Pierresque also demonstrated that such relics were of elephants. That is impossible. You don't put elephants in a tomb to begin with, and at the second time, skeletons of a giant, of a human, and this person knew because he was a surgeon. Doesn't just put stuff like that in exhibition knowing that there was an elephant. It's just impossible. All right. It just that doesn't work like that, guys. I'm very sorry. It's just that doesn't happen. But of course, at the end of the day, this is what happens. They always change the narrative and the story, because if it doesn't suit them, then of course they have to change it. And we continue. We have another one, an unknown one in Palermo in the 15th century, which is 30 feet, which is again super high. And John Middleton in England, 9.3 feet, also super high. Then we have the modern ones. So of course the modern ones, as you can see here, they're much smaller, which makes sense because these giants are not the pure Nephilim. They're not the actual descendants. Of course, they are more like just genetical, changes, but they're not actually the original ones. And this small foot is also really interesting. The dispatches from the Victoria, British Columbia announced the discovery of a series of gigantic footprints in that colony. Their interest, it will probably arouse a sharp discussion among archaeologists if the prints are proved to be satisfaction of the investigation to be those of a living creature, etc., etc. And this is where it finishes. And of course, what happened? Well, very simple. After this was discovered and people, were informed about this, the Smithsonian Institute came around, took all the evidence, and it was never ever talked about ever. That's it. End of story, because the interest back in the 19th century was to promote the evolution, the Darwinism, and giants cannot be part of the narrative, because if you talk about giants, you have to talk about the Bible, you have to talk about the Nephilim, you have to talk about the fallen angels, and all that stuff they cannot accept because they were just trying to push on the agenda and the narrative of the evolution. But giants, which was proven that they were gigantic, I mean, in European understanding, this for example is 10 meters, right? 10 meters of a giant, or 7.5 meters, or 7 meters, right? 10 meters or 7 meters of a giant that is not a human, that is something else, right? Who lived on this planet. And because we have the bones and the footprints, it's more than obvious that we humans do not come from the evolution per se. But, science doesn't want to recognize it because science always follows a determined path, which is the path of brainwashing people. But guys, that's it for today's video. As always, I shall see you guys later in the next upload. Bye.